But I guess it had to be for sure when we played Indiana in the finals.
Yeah.
And Kobe had sprained his ankle, I think, in game 2, right?
Yeah.
So it was 2-3-2 in those days. So he sprains his ankle in game 2 severely. We fly to Indianapolis after the game, which was a good thing, okay, because it put him and I together the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So what we try to do at that point is to try to control the inflammatory process. Now, you're going to hear a lot of things today in physical therapy, athletic training, orthopedic medicine, especially with stem cells and things, that we want the inflammatory process because that triggers the healing process. Yes, that's true, but we want to control the inflammatory process, which means in this instance that you don't want this big swollen ankle, okay? Because your body's not going to lay down new cells, what we call fibroblastic development, until it cleans out all that dead stuff, and swelling and everything. So you're trying to control that swelling, which takes, it's painful, and it takes a lot of compression. It takes a lot of physical manual therapy of flushing it out. So I have to be there with him doing this stuff with my hands actually on him. And so that whole flight, which we're now also battling, air pressure, okay, which also makes it want to swell, okay? And then when we got to the hotel, I switched rooms. So we were in adjoining rooms. You wake up 3 or 4 in the morning, your ankle throbbing because I have this tight compression wrap on it. Okay. You got to wake me up. Okay. You got to wake me up. We're going to cut the wrap off. We're going to stick your foot in an ice bucket. Okay. We're going to cool it off.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as, I take you out of that, then I'm going to flush it out in my hands. We're going to wrap you up again.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully you get another couple hours of sleep. Okay. And so I believe he didn't play game 3.
Yeah, he didn't play that one.
And so after game 3, we're practicing between games 3 and 4. And so we're at the arena and my hands are on him. And now I'm not doing flushing, but I'm doing what we call mobilization. So literally moving bones around. When I say moving, I mean, it's not like we're dislocating bones, but we're trying to create motion. Okay. We don't want an unstable joint, but we want mobility. Okay. Because we don't want these bones like stuck together. And so I'm moving, and all of a sudden it's like, we hear this like pop. He kind of looks at me, and I felt it when it happened, and I looked at him, and it was what we call a cuboid mob. And I go, this is either going to be really good or really bad. Right? And he hops off the table, and he's barefoot, right? And he's walking around, and he looked over at me and goes, you did it. I can play. Okay. And the next day he played.
Yeah.
And we beat him in 6 games. And I mean, they were good. I mean, now of course Shaq was
dominant.
He was dominant.
Yeah, Kobe had his breakout moment in the finals in the game 4 against the Pacers, where Shaq fouled out in the overtime and Kobe led the Lakers to a victory. That's where he really got his first taste of how it's going to feel like when he's the team captain.
Garry, let me ask this. Because you've been in this organization for 30 plus years. You done seen so many Laker players, Laker great players, Laker legends. Name the 5 toughest players that you ever been involved with in Laker history.
You're in that category, but you got to put Kobe
number 1.
Kobe number 1, and the reason why he edges you out, because beyond the hamstring issue, I mean, you had a couple things, but you weren't. I mean, Kobe was pretty beat up by the time that he retired. So he played with a lot of things that you didn't have to.
Yeah. I mean, he had major surgeries.
Yes.
I didn't have to have surgery.
Exactly. Okay. So, but I will put you in that category, and then there's sort of like different degrees of toughness, and depending on what we're talking about. Like, are we talking about, playing hurt are we talking about I'll beat your ass?
I
Because
think kind of both of those.
you are, and so is
I
Kobe.
think kind of both of those. Yeah.
Kobe would fight you.
Yeah. Oh, not a doubt.
You know what I mean?
Without
He didn't
a
care
doubt.
how big you were.
Yeah, without a
He
doubt.
squared off with Shaq.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is probably not a good idea.
I was about to say that might have been.
Yeah.
That kind of showed how crazy Kobe was too a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But he didn't back down.
No, that wasn't his nature.
You know, Kareem's the same thing. You know, he didn't have a lot of injuries, but he wasn't a man that you wanted to anger. You know, I can't tell you, and he was calculating too.
Oh, he get your ass back if
That's
you
right.
did something
But
to him.
maybe he learned his lesson with Kent Benson about losing your temper.
Yeah.
And broke
Yeah.
his hand.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
He was very calculating. I can't tell you how many players, including Mitch Kupchak in practice, ran down the court like this, holding their throat. Because while that skyhook was up here, this elbow was going right in your throat.
Yes, sir.
So if the officials weren't going to protect him, because he was like Shaq, he was fouled on every play.
Yeah.
But you can't call a foul. I mean, there's no flow to the game. You
Yeah,
know, you
yeah.
have to. So you got to figure out early on, okay, you know, how are the officials going to call the game? Because it's not going to be called the same
every
way
night.
all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Okay, it depends on who the official is
Yeah.
and you know how the flow of the game. So you figure that out, you know, and then if they're not going to protect you, then you have to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And so Kareem's in there. That's 3.
That's 3.
Okay. So Luke was only with us a year, and he was pretty much, his career was over at that point.
Who?
Maurice Lucas.
Maurice Lucas.
Got you.
But you probably got to put him, he wore a Laker jersey, and by reputation alone, I mean, he punched out Daryl Dawkins.
Yeah, he whoop your ass.
Yeah. He wasn't afraid of anybody.
No,
I mean,
no.
his nickname was the
The
Enforcer.
enforcer, yeah.
Okay. And I tell you what, Shaq
Yes.
is mean. I mean, it's big and jolly and funny, and like he was tough. I mean,
You can only imagine with the amount of love and attention Kobe was getting. Shaq might have got a little jealous.
he wasn't afraid of anybody.
He played through pain. He played through a lot of pain.
Yes, I mean, and I said this on his podcast that not that he shouldn't have played with the things that he had. He made some bad decisions about, and he made some comments, you know, that I'm sure today, with age and maturity,
Yeah.
if he could go back and do it over, he wouldn't
Yeah.
do it that
Yeah.
way. Okay. But there's probably at least a couple of things that I should have made a bigger deal about publicly. Meaning, you can play with this, but I probably should have put it out there that, you know, this man is playing hurt. We need to give him credit. You know, I was part of the cause, okay? Because when you're with a team, and you know this better than anybody because we were family.
Absolutely.
And you and I still are.
Absolutely.
And all those other people pretty much still are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay? And that's what Pat created. Okay? You know, and he had this term called peripheral opponents. He used to say there's 12 plus 2 plus 1.
Yep.
12 players, 2 coaches, and me, the athletic trainer. We're the inner sanctum. Those are the 5 people that are on the floor and the 10 people that are on the bench. Everybody else is a peripheral opponent, and that includes your wife and your
That's right.
kids and
That's
all
right.
those other people.
That's right.
Because they're a distraction. If you walk in the locker room and you're putting your name on a will call, you're putting your wife's name on a will call envelope,
That's a
you're
distraction.
distracted.
Yeah.
Okay, because you're not thinking about the game. And I get it. It's maniacal. But I think a lot of us were like, I got it, Pat, because I'm crazy too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to win.
Yeah, we were like, you know what? That makes
you know
sense.
what I mean? If I
Yeah.
need to be here,
Yeah.
you know, if you want the trainer to jump off the top of the forum today because you think it's going to help us win, let's go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I knew I would do it because Pat would have jumped first. And that's I really, I mean, obviously it's hyperbole, but
Right. No, I truly believe
that's
that
the way
too.
it was.
Yeah, I truly believe that.
But with Kobe having that threshold for pain, and Gary Vee previously speaking about how Kobe worked on his movements so he could prevent further injury, especially the way he practices, Right here, he further elaborates of why the players of today continuously get injured more than previous years.
Give me the transition from your perspective, because you did this for so many years, when you first started as a trainer to how training is done now today. And you've only been retired for 9 years, so you got a chance to witness how it was when you first started compared to how it was when you left.
When Kobe retired in 2016, I can make an argument. You were the head coach.
Yes.
I can make an argument that he was the best player with his back to the basket in the league at the time. He would not be able to play the game the way he played it in 2016. And that was just 9 years ago.
You mean he wouldn't be able to play it today like he played then?
Yes.
But we both know that he would adapt anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. No.
And
I'm
he
saying
still
the
would
way
dominate.
the way he played it,
yeah.
he would have killed you a different way.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Okay. He would have figured it out before they figured it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
And right there, they're talking about Kobe's basketball IQ and just overall intelligence level. Just like Kareem, Kobe, he's up there, man. He was definitely wise beyond his years. It goes to show you just him sometimes chucking up all those damn shots. He's he's doing that shit on purpose, man. He don't give a fuck. That guy definitely knows better than to play like that. But hell, if he sees himself putting work in and his teammates are not, why not, right?
Okay, so, and this is a lot of what you're talking about with the way the training is and the running and how the game is played has a lot to do with why are there so many injuries, because I'm getting those calls all the time. So, like I said, I'll try not to go all the way down the rabbit hole, but let's just talk a few things about what we do know. Okay. What we hear a lot is too many games, too much basketball at a young age. And that is absolutely true, but maybe not explained the way it should be explained. So what we do know about the human body, and this is well documented in the research, is that repetitive movement causes compensation, and the compensation causes dysfunction. In terms of basketball, the game is played between here and here, what we call the core. I'm going to ask you a question. Who's a player that you know that played over 20 years that was doing core work before we even talked about core and never got hurt?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
That's right. He was doing yoga.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And he started talking to me. He didn't use the word core. He just said the game's played between here. And I started listening to him.
There goes Kareem, another highly intelligent NBA player. We could see Victor Wembanyama applying the same tactics today.
And he's right. Okay? Now, we may not have known what we know today about what he was doing, but when you look back on it, the man was a pioneer. Okay, I mean, he sprained his ankle, he broke his hand, but the guy never pulled a muscle or anything like that.
You're right.
So the game is so much faster and so much more powerful. Where is all that coming from? It's coming from their hips. It's all about the hips. So these hip flexors get really, really tight. They start to rotate your pelvis forward. That starts to really pull on your hamstring, because your hamstring attaches underneath your pelvis and then crosses your knee joint. It shuts off the neural drive to your glute. So now, because your glute shut off, your hamstring's doing more work. That becomes prone. Your adductor muscles, which are your groin muscles, they attach underneath your pelvis. So they're working harder. Okay? So now, if you don't have a strong core, all this trying to, it's all about generating force from your lower extremity through your pelvis to your upper extremity. And we call that the kinetic chain. So if you hit a link in the chain that can't handle the load, okay, that's where it's going to fail. And it starts at the heel strike. So it could be your Achilles tendon. It could be your plantar fascia in your foot. It could be your Achilles tendon. It could be your calf. Okay, it could be your hip, could be your back, could be your neck. Okay, it goes all the way up in that chain. So going back to what we said about playing too much basketball, when we were kids, and I was a kid before you were a kid, but you experienced this.
Really?
Yeah, I'm older than you. I think when I came in, there was Kareem, McAdoo, and Jamal Wilkes were the only 3 guys older than me. Everybody else was younger than me. And then by the time I graduated, I could have been these kids' grandfather. Right? That was Kobe's joke with me, is that I watched him grow up and he watched me grow old. I had him 20 years.
Yeah, that's true.
I got him at 17.
Facts. Yeah.
Okay. So these kids, when we were young, going back to this, we played, especially if you were from the East Coast or cold, Midwest, anywhere where there was cold weather, you played football in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Then it got too cold, so you went inside and played basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Then it warmed up in the spring, and you went back outside and played baseball. As a result, you were a 3-sport athlete. What were you doing? You were cross-training. The word didn't exist.
Right.
We didn't know that's what we were doing, but that's what we were doing. So you weren't doing the repetitive
thing,
motion over and over. So now you're 7 years old. You might be good in several sports, but you really are shining in one sport, whatever it is. Doesn't necessarily have to be basketball, because we're not the only sport that people are getting hurt in doing the same thing. You're doing the same thing over and over and over again at 7 years old. So by the time I get you, you've developed these postural and movement dysfunctional patterns that it's almost impossible for us to get you out of it completely.
Wow, this is even made worse today due to the, I would say, monetization of youth sports, the overtime elites, and just the overall AAU circuit. NIL money only add more fuel to the fire. I mean, these kids are locked into just the same sport starting at a very, very young age.
We can get you out of it for a period of time. Once again, we'll release the hip flexor, stretch the hip flexor, stretch the hamstring, activate the glute. Now we have you in pelvic neutral. Now we're going to put you out on the court. Now what we're looking at as your movement is your movement efficiency. Okay? How well are you moving through space in an uncontrolled manner? Because when we're doing it in the gym, we're doing it in the performance laboratory with force plates and all that, it's still controlled. But now you're on the court and there's somebody in front of you. I laugh when I see some of these drills where you take a basketball and you dribble a ball. They're looking for peak acceleration. So you're dribbling a ball in a straight line, 90 feet from baseline to baseline. When have you ever done that in basketball?
There's no straight line in basketball.
It's all about diagonal movements, which now let's go to something else that we do know. Okay? I've already told you some stuff. You're with me so far, right?
Yeah. Well, put it this way: all of you out there that want to be trainers, this should be something that you really pay attention to, because he's really breaking it down on some of the main reasons that we're having some of the injuries that we're having in the NBA today.
Okay, so make sure you save this.
Here's some of the kickers. Okay, I just mentioned peak acceleration. There's been a trend for a long, long time: bigger, faster, stronger. And they've achieved it. These guys are flying up and down the floor. They are strong. When you look at them, they are specimens.
Yeah, no, I agree.
When you watch them run, they can fly. Yeah. But what we're not looking at as a whole, I mean, I'm sure some people are, but I'm out of it, okay? But what is their movement efficiency? I already know they can run fast.
Right.
I already know that they're the fastest, strongest basketball players in the world. How are they carrying their center of gravity as they're moving through space in an uncontrolled manner? And here's where the rubber really meets the road. Something else that we know, the two things the body doesn't like is slowing down and turning, torque. If you were accelerating continuously, you just ran as fast as you could in a straight line, probably never going to get hurt. It's when you try to slow down. When you look at Michael Jordan flying down the floor, taking off at the free throw line. We were mesmerized. I feel like I can fly. And before him, Dr. J, right? Trust me when I tell you, it looks like they are accelerating all the way through that moment that they leave the floor. They didn't. Right before they jumped, they were slowing down. You might not be able to see it with a naked eye, but with high-speed cameras and sensors, we can see that.
Right.
So when you're trying to slow down, these muscles are lengthening under great tension, more tension than when the muscles are shortening when you're running in a straight line. They're shortening, okay? Now they're lengthening under great tension. And if they can't handle the load, wherever that load is at that moment, if that link in the kinetic chain can't handle the load, it's going to fail. And that's where you're going to get hurt. Okay? And it's kind of that simple. Now you add in the turning, torque, twisting. Okay? Now you're really putting yourself in harm's way, because that's how we tear ACLs. Okay? That's how we tear meniscus in your knee. You don't tear a meniscus by running in a straight line. You tear it when you plant your foot and turn. Okay? And so yes, it is about playing too much basketball, but probably not so much as playing so much and not having recovery time. It's playing so much that you've developed these postural and movement dysfunctional patterns, okay? So that your movement efficiency isn't good. We get you out of it, we get you in neutral, you start the game, you're doing pretty well. Now you're starting to fatigue. Once you do, you go back into that default pattern. You'll see the guys at the free throw line holding their shorts, okay?
Tired.
Yes, because they don't have the core strength, okay, to keep themselves, okay, their center of gravity, okay? Now, so we call it core strength because it sounds good.
Right.
Strength is your ability to generate force. Power is how fast can you generate it. Endurance is how long can you generate it. We really should call it core endurance, because the longer you can control your center of gravity with your core, the least likely you'll get hurt as you're moving through space in these uncontrolled manners. That's why all these people that, for whatever their reasons are, sitting in front of desk or playing golf, too much tennis, too much swimming, whatever the cause of their pain is, they take up yoga, they take up Pilates, and it counters all the dysfunctional patterns that you've created over time.
It makes sense with the league just being so spaced out. It's almost like, I don't want to say guys are playing soccer out there, but all the extra running that's being done right now versus previous eras, they got to take from soccer players in a way, because the core is really what's emphasized with guys running back and forth in a football-sized field. The core is definitely the main thing that really gets emphasized in training. But who knows? The league is always tweaking the game. Maybe they might slow down the pace a little bit to allow these guys to not get so many hamstring injuries, because it's really going rampant through the league right now.